Hi, Leah at my sewing room here. Today we're going to be talking about the Brother 4234 DT serger. This will be a series of videos and you'll be able to click through for different techniques. Many of the techniques I'm showing you on this specific serger are doable on other Brother sergers in a very similar manner. So the other ones this might apply to is the Brother 3534 DT, which we also have here at my sewing room. So first up, the parts of your serger. This is critical that you understand where the different parts of your serger are and what they do for you. So the first couple things you'll probably notice is you have an aerial thread stand on the back of the machine. This is where your thread's going to go up and off your cones or your spools of thread and thread into the machine. There is cones on your aerial. And usually when the machine ships, those cones are upright. It's actually more effective if you use your cones upside down, if they will fit inside your serger cones. So your serger cones, you don't want them rattling around on the machine, and having them on top of those serger cones on the back of the machine will make it a little smoother. When you're first getting to know your serger, I highly recommend that you thread with 4 different colors of thread to match each threading path. It'll make it easier to figure out where the thread is going, follow your thread paths. And if you're having issues, it's much easier to troubleshoot. Your machine also comes with thread nets and spool caps. These you might not need if you're using regular serger cones, but they may be helpful if you're using specialty threads. So on your serger, you're able to use metallic thread for fancy finishes, and you might need a thread net to keep it from sliding down your thread. This will wrap over your thread. On slipperier threads from the bottom. So your thread nets can go over your thread, and then your thread will come out the top. If your thread is puddling and falling down as you serge, a thread net might resolve some tension issues for you. The other thing you have is spool caps. So those will sit on top of your spool. If you have a spool of thread where the thread is catching on the top plastic part of your spool, the spool cap can help immensely. Generally not needed again when you're using regular serger cones. Most sergers have 4 threads. And there's 2 parts to your threading system. There's your needles, which in this case are domestic sewing machine needles, usually size 80. And a universal is okay for lots of fabrics, or a ballpoint. If you're getting into denim, you might want a jeans needle. Those domestic sewing machine needles have flat backs, and it looks as though they are different. It looks as though they are different heights or different length of needles. However, it is they are just offset in that needle block. So, other parts of your serger, along the right-hand side on this Brother serger is your presser foot lifter. You'll lift your presser foot right here. You also have your stitch length knob. The setting denoted with the black is the default. And it goes from R for a rolled hem up to a stitch length of 4. Your differential on your serger is the lower knob, and it goes from 0.7 to help stretch fabrics to 0.2 to help you gather. The differential allows your feed dogs to move independently of one another, your front and rear feed dogs, so it can be adjusted to manage stretchy fabrics or to help you gather. Getting familiar with all of these things, we'll go step by step, and you can watch the whole series of videos to get all the ins and outs. Also on this machine, your stitch width knob, or your cutting width, is the knob right in front. This adjusts from a 5, which is the regular width, up to 7, which is a wider stitch. Stitch or cutting width is measured from the left needle line out to the blade. So 5 being a 5mm cutting width from that left needle line, and a 7 being 7mm from the left needle line. Getting to know where that left needle line is key on your machine. On your presser foot, there's a small line at the front that will line up with your left needle line. Just going to pop the presser foot off for a moment. There's a black latch on the back to release the foot. It'll drop down. You can wiggle it out to the side. You might need to lift the hand wheel a little bit further. But the parts of your presser foot are critical as well. So that notch on the front of the foot is your left needle line. There is 2 holes in this area for where your needles actually go through. And this opening along the side is where your knife will sit. Other critical parts to understand about your serger is parts of your needle plate and what they do for you. We'll discuss these in more detail as we go. So your feed dogs here and here, they are independent. So if your differential is set at 1, your feed dogs move at the same ratio as each other. It's easier to see in a longer stitch length. So I've increased the stitch length to 4. And those feed dogs are moving together. When I change my differential up to 2, this is going to change the ratio of the movement between your front and back feed dogs. And your front feed dog is going to travel twice as far in the same stroke as your rear feed dog. This will help those stretchy things that pull through your machine strangely like knits. It'll also help you to gather your fabrics. Going the other direction, adjusting your differential up to 7 or 0.7, your front feed dog is going to move a shorter distance for each stroke that your back feed dog is. So this is a tool to help you manage your fabrics. You'll need to test it, as every fabric and every stitch is a little bit different. But generally, most of our basic stitches we'll just be doing with our differential set at 1. Also, on top of your machine, you have presser foot pressure. So this will determine how hard your presser foot is pressing down onto your fabric. Not enough pressure and your fabrics won't feed properly. Too much and they'll jam. So finding that sweet spot for each project is always worthwhile testing at the beginning. To reinstall your foot after you've removed it, you'll lower your presser foot lifter down on top of the little bar on the foot, and then pressing the black latch, it should engage. When you relift, they'll lift again together. On this particular serger, there's also an extension table and a free arm. So you're able to remove the free arm cover, and the round opening here will help you finish things like pant legs or sleeve cuffs or any other closed object. I'm just going to keep that installed for today.